Welcome to custom painting a helmet. I'm actually recording this when the edit's pretty much already done because I lost some footage. I don't know how or why. I've never had that happen before. I also filmed a lot of this with my iPhone. I won't ever do that again because I lost some of that footage or it didn't record. This is me coming to you at the beginning of the video, from the end of the video, and it's all sorts of confusing, but don't worry, it all makes sense. As you just saw in those clips, I have already metal flaked the helmet. I'm starting this video with metal flaked helmet already because I already have a video on how to metal flake something. So if you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description or up here somewhere or whatever, however it works on YouTube. Check out that video if you want to know how to actually metal flake something. This video is going to be more about just the artwork on top of the metal flake. Metal flake is just a base underneath the artwork. Alright, let's get into explaining what I've done so far. Okay, so let me go into a little bit of detail on this. It was a white helmet that you saw in those clips before. And I've flaked stuff without basing it before, and I thought I could do the same with this. So I just went over this white helmet with silver flake, and it took forever to cover, especially the race clip sticker that was here and the other one that's here. This one's still barely visible, but once it's done you won't be able to see it at all. So there's actually like 7 coats of flake on this, which is not a good idea, so don't do that. Base it first. I definitely should have done that. That's one of the reasons why it took so long to cure. I've actually had this thing sitting out in the sun for a few days to really harden up. So that being said, this is at the first stage. This is just base clear with the flake in it, and then 3 coats of regular clear over top of that. It's still texturized. So the next step is going to be sanding it with 600. Which when you do that, you just kind of run over it really quick and you don't sand it completely. You just kind of get the really sharp pieces of flake that are still sticking up knocked off, and then you Scotch-Brite the rest of it. And that's going to look like this. And after that, you're ready to tape. And I've already spent a few hours on this and still haven't quite nailed down what exactly I want to do on it. As you can see, this side is completely different from this side, if you can tell, and I think I'm going to go with something more like this. So this is kind of the time-consuming and tedious and fun part for me. It's kind of like drawing, but with tape. When you erase, you just peel the tape back off. Like, I don't like that, I'll just take it back off, stick it on my desk. Right now I'm just going for like a general outline. Just kind of trying to find something that I like, that I think kind of looks good. So I'm going to go with something like this. It's kind of more old school. I've been playing with square corners and round corners. I think I'm going to go round corner up here and a little bit tighter radius down here, not as loose. This yellow line is kind of representing gold leaf. I'm going to put gold leaf, a big fat stripe of gold leaf down here, and all these are going to be outlined in gold leaf. This section right here is going to be a panel also, so this is kind of what I'm going to go for and scrap this side. I don't really like this. Now comes the fun taping montage. I probably have a few more hours into it, even though this has taken me a few hours, but it doesn't look like a lot, but it's mainly because I've taped and untaped and taped and untaped and taped. And let's get back to the taping. Alright, so this is about as far as I got last night at 11 o'clock at night. Then I ran out of yellow tape. I didn't have much to start with. Got all the panels finalized, so how I like them. So now I got to tape off the panels. Tape everything that's going to be black, tape that up, and leave the panels. And then I got to tape inside the panels for whatever designs I want to do. I have ideas. I haven't quite decided what I want to put where, but we will also kind of just play it by ear. So more taping and yeah, that's all I do is tape and tape and tape and tape and tape and tape some more. So I completely taped up the inside, kind of separate from the outside, so I can leave this taped up the whole time, because I'm going to be taping and untaping and retaping out here, so I only have to do it once. I don't have to redo it every single time I take tape off out here. Some of these sections, like this, is going to get taped up first, and this is going to get painted first, and then once this is painted, I'm taping that up so I don't get black on it and spray the black out here. So when I do that, I don't want to have to redo that. Keep that in mind when you're doing stuff like this, and it will make your life a whole lot easier, I'll tell you that. Now that everything's taped up besides the panels, it is now time to do the artwork, or tape up the artwork on each panel. So there's going to be some infinite line, fish scales, other stuff I don't know the name of, but I think I know how to do it, so we're going to just wing it. Do some water droplet, all that kind of fun stuff. Alright, so now is the creative process of figuring out what I want to put where. Yeah. I don't know. This is what I got. This infinite line on this side. Some crazy lines on this side. I don't even know what to call this. I'm going to do water droplets up here, and these kind of faded lines back here that I've never tried before. I don't exactly know how to do them properly, but I'm going to kind of wing it and see what it turns out. And then I'm going to do fish scales up here. And fish scales, I made this template out of a few pieces of fine line tape, thick fine line tape, and then just trace the socket on it, and then cut them out with a razor blade. And then you just hold them up there, airbrush straight across the top of them, and then you move them down and scoot it over to where the points are lined up with the top of this, top of the humps. So you just kind of airbrush it, scoot it down and over a little bit, airbrush it, scoot it down and over a little bit. You'll see, it's a process, but this is tedious to do. Cut this out for one. You can buy these online. They're cheap. I just didn't do it. We're going to start airbrushing this using a teal and a dark blue. Teal's ready to spray. I got a ready to spray jar of it for an airbrush, and then the blue I'm going to have to make with concentrate and base clear. Base clear. So, alright, let's get to airbrushing this. So I first started off with just doing some accent lines kind of all around the helmet with the teal. I wanted to do vertical lines behind the fish scales just to kind of make it look more, well, fishy. You'll see I started off doing just stuff like this all over the helmet in different ways. Different designs on different panels. I didn't want to do the same thing on every panel, and just wanted to mix it up a little bit. Did diagonal lines up here under the water droplets. Then I'm coming back and filling in the rest of the panel with teal, just to make the lines look not so stark, stand out. They stood out too much, so I went back and added a little bit of teal around them to make them blend in a little bit more. So now I'm making kind of a, if you want to call it a template for the sunburst. It looks like I'm going to be doing it over top of the infinite line, but it's actually going to look behind it once I'm all done. So you put that piece of tape up there, and you just run the airbrush across the very edge of it to create a sort of fade. And once you're done with the fade, you take the tape off carefully so you don't mess up the infinite line underneath. And then you just move it over a little bit, do another fade. You just keep repeating that until the whole panel is filled. Start at one point at one edge of the panel, work your way around, and you get this effect. Putting a little bit of paint on that hard edge to make it blend better. Okay, so I got the teal done on the helmet. Next is going to be the dark blue. I got to go mix that with some BC0000 candy concentrate in that, so I have to mix that with base clear. So this is all I'm going to do with the teal. These lines are just going to be kind of accent lines behind what I'm actually going to do on those panels. We got some sunrise over here with infinite line, but the infinite line is going to be in dark blue. We'll do water droplets up here in dark blue. There's going to be fish scales in dark blue there. And then faded lines here in dark blue, and then I'm going to do this in dark blue over top of that, kind of in a diagonal line. Alright, so I got my oriental blue mixed up. I mixed it 1:1, 1 part base clear, 1 part reducer, and I just dumped in enough or as much candy until I got it to the darkness that I wanted. I wanted it a little bit darker, so I probably put it in a little bit more than normal. I'm going to dump it in this and then put that lid on and then put it in my airbrush, and then we're going to do the dark blue on this helmet. So on the infinite line, you just trace the tape that you've already put down. That creates a fade on either side. The hardest part is keeping the fade consistent throughout the whole line. Panel, I'm going to go around and fade the edges, make it look like it's behind the black that I'm going to be spraying around it. That panel's faded. Peel off the infinite line tape very carefully. I should have let it dry longer, but I didn't. That's a perfect example of me missing footage. Skipping to this side, you'll already see I have the lines painted. I wish I had footage of that, but I lost it. So on these bubbles, you just kind of flood the paint in one area, let go of the paint, and then just kind of blow it out with the air, and you get this cool little bubble effect. And just fading in the edges on this panel like I did the other one. Unfortunately, I don't think I have any footage of the water droplets on top. I'll show you guys the finished product once it's all done. This was very difficult actually. I've never done fish scales on a curved surface like this. It was not very easy, I will say that. And probably one of those fancy stick-it stencils would have made it a lot easier. Like I said, you just airbrush across the top of it, and you scoot it down and over, line up the points with the humps, and you get that effect. Fading in the edges on this panel as well. So if you notice, there's an extra piece of tape, very fine line tape around the edge of each panel. Right here, you'll see I'm taking it off, and you'll see that silver line. I'm peeling this off. I'm gonna put the teal back in my airbrush teal over all these silver lines. since I've already faded the edges of the panel with dark blue, you won't be able to see the teal over the dark blue, but you will be able to see it over these silver lines. And just giving that silver line color, and that's pretty much it. There's the faded lines, which I didn't have any footage of, or the footage was very bad, pretty much just the back of my head. And here is the halfway finished product. It's not completely done. I've got a little bit more artwork to do, but different kind of artwork. So we have the lines and the bubbles. This side, you can see it. You can kind of see it. Got water droplets on top, which all you do is, I actually spray it on my fingers and kind of flick it onto the top. You airbrush the water droplets from one side only, kind of at an angle down at the water droplets. And that gets paint on one side of them, and then you let them completely dry, and it looks like water droplets. I wish I had done more. I'm hoping that once I clear it, you can see them better, but I'm probably going to pinstripe over this anyway. So got faded lines on the back, which all I did was put like 4 or 5 lines of tape and then take off every other one. Kind of airbrush a line across it, a line across it, line across it, and then took those off. And I didn't want to put tape back over that paint I had just sprayed, so I just kind of held up a piece of tape over this one and then airbrushed this down here. It's hard to explain, and I guess I'll just show it in a future video when I do it again on something else. But it came out alright. It's my first time doing it. It looks pretty cool. It looks more like checkerboards than faded lines. And then we got the infinite line and the sunburst on this side. And this is what I meant by how the sunburst kind of looks like it's under the infinite line. And of course the fish scales on the front. So the next thing I'm going to do, and you won't see it on camera, is I'm just going to spray base clear over this whole thing. And that will make it so that I can tape off these artwork panels without peeling them off when I take the tape back off. So there's going to be a base clear over all this, so I can tape to it and then take that off, and it won't affect these artwork panels. Because if you mess up a corner, you can't really fix it. Kind of got to take it all off and start over. Watch the next video. The next video is going to be me taping this up, spraying the black, and putting gold leaf on it. So stay tuned for that. If you made this fun video, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. I'm planning on doing more of this from now on. If you want to see more of it, obviously subscribe, like the video, and put comments on what else you want me to paint. Different styles, colors, whatever. I'm up for suggestions. So stay tuned for the next video on this helmet, and it's going to look completely different when I'm done, because it's not going to be silver, it's going to be gold leaf on it, there's going to be clear coat on it, so that'll make it really pop. Just if you think it looks cool now, just wait till there's clear on it. That's the best part. My favorite. It's like a good slice of pizza, but better. Alright, see y'all at the next one.